connect you to your call. The host has joined the conference.
Open the meeting, and folders are going around the table. Something interesting. All right. Chuck, I still pull it from you, apparently. Yeah. Nothing in action. Wow, I like that. No action. No action, huh? Yeah. I wish that was the case. Thanks, Ryan. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. V.
Conference recording started.
these, things Randy went, welfare checks?
Yeah. He's given us the total cost by day, but he hasn't broken out the difference in pay and the cost of the equipment. And I asked him last night when I saw him if he could do that for us, and he said he has it pretty well broken out. He just did around 3,100 of it, I think he said was pay. But I didn't see a breakout, and I think we need a breakout so we can tell. But as it turns out, not all firefighters receive the same rate of pay. Depends on whether they're just firefighters or the firefighters EMT or firefighters paramedic. There's different levels of pay.
How much of this would FEMA, would he be able to get reimbursed on any of it?
Confident that they're gonna reimburse all of it,
Oh, okay.
the truck and the pay, but I told him I needed to break out the two, so when he goes over on his line item for pay, we can offset that with the money coming back in.
Well, expensive. I thought that was volunteer work. I thought that'd be real nice.
I thought he was gonna be here this morning, but hasn't arrived yet. Right, a lot of times I figured it'd be a question.
No, it was just, I forgot something, I was just getting ready to make a note.
He's going to the Evans Hills, like, for a week, still has to do that, right?
Yep, they're really small.
So you got a good thing.
Thank you, sir. Can you run a revenue statement too, in addition to the budget?
Can I run a?
Revenue? Can you?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know if it's gonna break out the way you want it to break out, though.
What would it be, just real high level, four lines of, here's where the money's coming in?
Yeah. The actual revenue, I can show you what the selectmen's revenue is broken down fairly well.
Yeah.
I can't show you what the town clerk and tax collector is, other than what I'm receiving.
Which fine.
Because we made the decision that we didn't need to keep two sets of books.
Yep, I agree with that.
I think we should cover this at another point in time, you know, the whole finances on, that's the problem.
Yep.
So, we'll follow up with you on that, but like Chuck said, yeah, you can get whatever data that you. Brian, did you ascertain which generator needs the freeze plug? The heater plug?
Say that again.
There's a freeze plug being listed as deficient on one of the, generators, the emergency generator. Which location is that at?
I believe it's this one right here.
Oh, is it? Okay, 'cause it, oh, okay, yeah, now I'm seeing the other one has, cartridge.
Thank you, going down the agenda.
Yes.
Yeah, under my comments, I wanna talk a little bit about money for first responders. The government made an announcement last night. I have to work it out, figure that out. I had that.
Alrighty. Sounds like a plan?
Hopefully we have chief yet, because I'm gonna load it.
Okay.
On that issue.
Sir. I'm gonna take that and hide it. What? I'm gonna take that and hide that from you.
warning.
Okay.
You just gotta look and make sure that everything makes sense, like if you see, more particularly if you see R1W, but these are campground sites that are vacant or the campgrounds, or it's registered, so there's no tax.
Right.
This one gets no tax, you know, because he's vet, and he has permit in total. So I just have to go through, these before I run the warrant. For now, yeah, there's only a few veterans that are like that, and it's because they are war service veterans, so they get $500 off, and they are permanently and totally disabled due to their war service, so they get another, I wanna say, 2,000, I think.
Okay.
So if their taxes come within that, then they don't get a bill. And there's only a couple.
All right, that's a little nugget I didn't know.
See?
I learned something
These are my
today.
secrets that
Yeah.
I don't let out.
The assessing,
Now you got them.
you now have the assessing secrets chest.
They're all exempt because they're,
I'm going home now.
I don't usually put that in, I got it pinned in there.
Thanks.
Okay,
Thank you, Glenn.
sure, no problem.
Chairman,
Sir,
on this here Neptune uniforms and equipment
yes.
for the police department, it says Effingham shoulder patch.
Emblems. Effingham PD, I'm assuming, stuff like that. Is that what-
So we need 100 of them?
We order them because of the order.
Really?
Normally the price changes and gets less per patch when you order a larger. So usually, I think generally minimum.
I mean,
Okay.
when you start taking a look at the equipment, you got your shirts, winter shirts, summer shirts, I don't know how many pair they have each, but usually have 2 to 3,
Coat.
two each side, coats, summer coat, winter coat, 2 each side. 100 goes pretty quick.
All righty. Thank you.
The, cleaning person, I didn't see anything in the books on it.
That's gonna be covered by Christine.
Perfect. Did we get some kind of a resume or a application or something, so we know something about this person? What they've done, where they've been?
Actually, it will probably be a 1099 contractor,
Okay, cool.
so that will pretty much mitigate most of that.
Good.
It's done.
In past, but it looks here.
If they do the hire, then they will do the, have a brain cramp, the training for the
And see just,
speech executive.
Has she been contacted, or?
They told me that at 5 o'clock last night.
I saw some competing wage numbers. This was the higher one?
What, I'm sorry?
I thought I saw some competing wage numbers from people who did that. I saw one that was really rather high.
I think she's gonna cover that. Okay. Well, Chris is gonna cover that.
Okay.
What you know about the person? Person was, you have all the information? Okay. I can. All right, then. I'll discuss it. Yeah.
That's for hiring a contractor, that's one thing, and that's a town employee version, and that's another thing altogether, so you're saying that's gonna be a contractor?
I have really no ball in that game. I just wanna make sure that she has, if she's a contractor, she's insured,
Right.
so that we aren't looking at liability, if this is looking to fall or any of those things while working. If she claims she is, she will, if hired, she will supply a copy of the insurance. If she's a municipal employee, then they're covered under our insurance.
The last time we had this discussion, we were leaning towards the municipal aspect.
Yeah, but this is, she's trying to form a company, and she has an application for a federal business number.
Okay.
That hasn't been granted yet, but she can use her social security number until that is granted. So, if that is the hire, if that is determined, then she will have to file a W-9, which indicates that she's a contract employee. It just means there's a little more work at the end of the year. But if she is a business, and has business insurance, it probably makes sense to do that.
Well, it's just that if we're gonna have a discussion about a person that we're hiring, we probably don't go in public to that discussion. If it's a contractor rate pay, we'll have that form, I would think.
She would prefer to be, well, when there was a discussion, I don't know if she had any real preference. But in the end, she
wants to be a member.
in the end, she said 1099. So it's a contract. Okay.
Oh,
I also indicated to her if the decision we wanted to make. I kind of found this job out for Christine.
okay. Alrighty then.
Thank you, Chuck. Thank you, sir.
I think that had the last week.
think it's warm in here?
Fine, but others.
I'm going warm, but.
Go right ahead, Chris, whatever you need.
Yeah, I would say that. A little fresh air wouldn't hurt.
Yes. What's the date on that slip?
May 1.
Upper-
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Okay. Just briefly, Chuck, in the folder here, signature folder, we have our, wetlands emergency authorization that we were pursuing on Pine River Road. And I have been in contact with the gentleman for DES, and one of the things, ironically, was you had me take the one word out, update.
Yeah,
That appears to be a problem.
okay.
No, and I talked to Chris
Yeah.
Fournier, and I think Chris said he thinks he led you down that road.
Okay.
So it wasn't you, but just as a follow-up, so you know.
So the word went back in?
No, it hasn't gone back in but it was the topic of the discussion, because what was suggested by DES was to reach out and speak to our engineering companies about, adhering to environmental 900 regulations, which is, stream crossings. It's,
Yep, standard stuff.
yeah, and but that's all your permitting and stuff that's really complicated and, expensive and all that. So what the discussion was, in not having that we were going to be planning for an upgrade down the road, they said, you will need to upgrade down the road because this is temporary, and a culvert like that doesn't meet the requirements any longer. That would never, it's the slope of bank and the distance that the water pools on the, whatever. And, so.
We tried?
Yeah.
Okay. I figured that was gonna be the answer anyway.
So why I was squeaking in at the wire today is I was having several back and forths, and supplying some additional information to, DES, on this. Also, though, it is something we'll have to continue chasing the grants and whatnot, because it'll be an expected, item. And I have a scheduled appointment to follow up with the same individual, just to let them know we looked into it. It's not like we can make, put in what needs to go in to meet all the criteria now. We are going to have to revisit this, and likely, there's gonna be a timeline applied to us, so see how far we can get that extended.
So with this generator with the freeze plug, have we already ordered the replacement repair for that, or? I mean, it shows he identified it when he serviced it.
Randy said that it was being taken care of, that's all, but I got that.
Got it.
I did see a, price quote, it looked like, in there for the replacement further down.
And Chuck, I'm not even positive it's this generator, I think it's this one.
Okay.
Yeah, it actually, what it did is it had at 68 School Street on the billing and, the contact, and then 68 School Street on that one. When I got further into the other two, then I found the Partridge Cove, and
So it is this one.
yes. I asked you just a little too soon. I could have figured it out on my own if I just continued to read. gotta say, the police department has been very busy, unfortunately. Okay, I think we're through the folders, everyone, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. I guess we'll get into our official meeting then. I will make a motion to approve the manifest of $77,843.06. Second.
Second.
Second from Mr. Fuller. All in favor, roll call, please.
Chuck Fuller, aye.
Tom Hart, aye.
Mr. Hallen, aye. Signature folder, we have our regular minutes of April 28th. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
With an edit, yeah, with an edit, which I've already given Chris, very first page. Email system being updated for town employees. Each individual will be changed to the word may, M-A-Y, have their own email.
All right, good with the edit. Motion to approve, the April 28th regular meeting minutes as amended. Do I have a second?
Second. Tom Hart.
Second from Mr. Hart. Roll call vote, please.
Chuck Fuller, aye.
Cahalan, aye. I'll make a motion to, approve the April 28th non-public minutes. Do I have a second?
Second.
Oh, it's a battle. Pick whoever you like. Chuck. Chuck Fuller is second. All in favor, please roll call vote.
Fuller, aye.
Cahalan, aye. All right, then in the folders, we had some timber cut notices and, the tax collector's warrant, which has been signed, all of which has been signed. We also have a, possible individual for, cleaning the municipal facilities, and, I guess we'll get into that a little bit later. Looks like we have an increase for tire disposal costs coming from, NRRA. If we don't have that actual cost, okay.
They didn't give it, they just said it was gonna be an increase.
Okay, I have, wrote myself a list with the other probably about 7 or 8 people that I need to call this afternoon. I'll reach out to Bonnie over at, NRRA. I do still have to set up an appointment to pick up some more blue trash bags anyway, so I'll try to get an update.
I think you had the letter in the mail review from NRRA.
Yeah, and
It says that they don't know the price yet.
oh, it does, okay. I guess I missed that part. All right, and that can be on hold for a bit. As we touched on a little bit earlier, we have an emergency wetland authorization request form in. Ongoing updates, I sent a bunch of, photos which wouldn't actually go through on DES's, site for the reviewer to receive. They only can receive 25 megabytes, and it was just, I had 15 pictures, no matter how much I kept breaking them down, so, my in-house IT person set up a link, and we shot all that off, and they were able to access the link, and that's now gone to this gentleman's supervisor. We're hoping that the review might happen today, and the turnaround time was approximately 3 days from filing, I believe. Is that?
3 days from filing.
Right, okay. So, it looks good, at this point. I have, like I said, been providing some additional information, and Ron Evans called me probably by 7 o'clock this morning. He's out there, he's got his equipment relocated yesterday, and, hopes to get that opened up to the point where we can drain off the water, get the obstruction out, and, then hopefully in a day or so, if the rains hold off, maybe it'll be to the point where we can do the construction. Chris, you had something?
Where is this located, please?
PV Brook, Pine River Road, where I presently have the road closed. If all goes well, we hope to have the road open again by the end of the week, so that would be good. And as touched on before, this is a temporary repair. Down the road, we are going to need to probably put a clear span, box culvert or something in there to meet the new standards by DES.
And that'll be watershed reports, engineering reports,
It's
the gamut.
the whole monster that we deal with everything, so it's not in
A year or two of permitting, okay.
Well, if they give us the time, that's the other thing. Some reports I've heard is they like to see these things turn around in pretty short order, maybe 2 years. And that's gonna be a conversation I'll have, because there's a timeline for municipalities to put things together, put it on warrant articles, have the work done, get the funding, and that's gonna be a discussion I hope to have, and maybe get some sympathy with the idea that we, this is gonna probably be a 4 years out for us, most likelihood, but I don't know that they'll give us that time frame. I'll keep you posted on anything I hear. Stuff will be coming into the office, I'm sure, so you may see it before I know about it. They have the police department's monthly report, which is a really nice report to see, in the sense that in the past, the reports were very, very, very vague, as to the point of, this tells me nothing. So, to the point of what the police department can share, it really gives some detail to the activities that are going around around town, and I thank you, Ryan, Chief, for that, because, I found that pretty enlightening. Moving on to the fire department's report. Again, a tremendous amount of activity on that. These, welfare checks, our fire department's been extremely busy on a lot of things, it would look like. And, hopefully FEMA's going to cover up some of that. Past, practices, that money tends to take a while to get here, though, so everybody's aware. Let's see. We have a letter from the Province Lake Association. They've got their membership drive is out, and, they look for donations, whether you join as a member or not. I'm not sure that that's a prerequisite, but the lake is, something for everybody in town. So there is, www.provincelake.org, and there's contact folks over there. Looks like Jim Aiken has put his name to this one. So if anybody's interested in supporting the lake, they do a lot of, they take a lot of burden off the town over there by funding a lot of things, testing of the lake, the cyanobacteria, quite a few things. They help us with the beavers on South River. They, foot the bill for that. So anyway, good organization. They've been there for decades. They're a 503c, fully accredited, I guess. The zoning officer is back in town by the looks of the report, so heads up, people. There's a copy of the highway grant check is in the file. This is an area where I've been putting off that meals and room tax, highway block grants could be affected this year because of, funding and where the money goes. Right now, I did the quick math on this. This check is consistent with full funding at this point. It comes in 4 amounts. You get a 20%, then later on in the year, you get a 20% dump of funds, and then a 30% and a 30%. The meals and rooms taxes, that's a lump sum that comes in December, January. That one will probably be, tanked. So that is part of your DRA forms, though, that makes up your tax rate. So any shortfall in that is not a shortfall that we can readily absorb. And I believe that one usually runs over $70,000, $73,000, $75,000 in that neighborhood typically. That would have been on our forms this year. So something to keep in mind. And we had some DES septic approval in there, one of. And administrator's comments, I guess we're at that point. So Brian, turn it over to you, sir.
First of all, one of you gave me a job lot receipt.
Was I.
Oh, thank you.
Those were for
The gloves.
the gloves. Yep.
Did everybody get their email set up? Can I start sending it to you three?
No, these two guys haven't had anything, because I didn't hear back from you that you got yours ready.
Mine's gone, and mine's up and running.
Okay,
Mine should be up and running. Again, my in-house IT
that's
department
perfect.
has taken care of that. Have I actually accessed it or used it yet? No. So send me something and we'll find out. What about Tom? Is yours up and running? Okay.
Talk to Chuck about that.
Oh,
Okay.
we'll get that done today.
Nice.
I indicated to you, I forwarded to you in mail some information from the Municipal Association in reference to COVID, for your perusal. Also got a follow up to the survey from the Municipal Association. Wanting information, and I answered it. It's a real short one. They just basically want to know if we borrowed TAN's money in the last 5 years, if we had a bank that was set up to do the TAN's money, if we did it. They want to know any problems. And I said one of the problems is we didn't put TAN's in the budget, so there's no money in the budget for borrowing. And I also said it must be paid back in the same budget year. If you're not getting the money in, it's not going to do you any good.
Actually, just for your knowledge, we do put $1 on the TAN's line so that we could.
We don't have enough money to pay. If we had to go out and borrow a significant amount of money, right, we don't have any money in that line item to pay the interest.
Well, that's,
at $1.
right, you would have to take funds, appropriated funds from other areas to cover it. But we keep that dollar in there, just so you know, so we could take the loan. The real rub on that is, as you stated, paying it back at the end of the year. You don't take back a loan you can't pay, it doesn't work out well.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
Jacob's Glass,
Yes,
Mr. Fuller, we got a bill for $39,500.
no, you did not, that's a proposal.
Okay. Then are we supposed to pay
In the
this?
contract,
What are we supposed to do with this?
in the contract, which is what you have in your hand, it basically says there's a deposit due of $5,000, and that would match the amount of money that we received in from the Moose Plate, the Moose Plate grant, the first 50% of that, which came into the office, and the office has received it.
It's profit of that.
Okay.
The problem is you just want to, if we're going to track money easily, we need to build an authorized in case if we need to pay the money.
Well, in this case, you've got a contract with a state grant.
Okay.
What do you need beyond that?
Nothing in here indicates payment dates on this contract.
Because I left it open with them. It says 50% due. He took out all the interest and everything else because I told him based on the way that the money flows from the state grant and the money we would take out of the expendable trust fund, they don't happen overnight, and he said that's okay. Give me the $5,000 deposit, which just happened to match what we got in from Moose Plate. The contract purposely does not have any clauses of, if you don't pay by this date, then you're gonna get penalized for this. Those were removed.
There was a bill in the pile from Atlantic Recycling Equipment to do work on the hydraulic system at the transfer station. I did talk with, and that apparently they were called by the transfer station to, it says, service call customer stays compacted, smells like hot hydraulic fluid. They went there and said there was no problem with the hot hydraulic fluid, they couldn't find anything wrong. Basically charged us $361.25 to do that. I was under the impression that they were not doing it this year, that
They are not.
the only people that were supposed to be doing it was waste management. But I didn't know this apparently happened on the 19th of February. So,
It's a legit bill.
Right. But one of the problems I have right now is that we're being told that the wrong oils were put in there originally. So I would like to dispute that bill to some level with them because the service seems to be worked, from what.
and that's why I held it up. Now, Selectman Hart, you gonna go?
Yeah, I'm gonna I got that on my sheet here, follow up with that maybe, because we haven't got a report on it. We haven't got a future, what it needs, we're supposed to, and the oil is supposed to be changed, it hasn't been.
Yeah. Now, I made a phone call yesterday to Waste Management, Pete
Lepichelle.
talked with him. He said we should have gotten that maintenance sheet. He's chasing down the technician.
Okay.
He doesn't, when I left at 4 o'clock, I sent him an email saying I was leaving, and to send me an email. He sent me an email and said he hasn't located the technician yet. Okay. So he's going to do that. I also asked about the oil change because I indicated what Selectman Hart told me, that they told him the wrong oil was put in there because it didn't have a thermostat in it, and that oil was overheating, and it should have been a high temperature oil put into the system. And he said, and I said, we don't know if that was changed. It was supposed to be changed the following week. The guy didn't have the oil with him when he was there, and he said he would follow up on that also.
Yeah, that's disputed bill, I'm in agreement with you too, because there were parts that waste, the last company I watched do it, he told me, and it'll be in the report too, so we wait to get the report, we can back it up with that, but there was fittings that weren't properly installed or tightened, they were just left loose, they just a half, like job.
So I think we really need to report
Absolutely.
waste management, and then we can say to these people, we're not gonna pay this because your guy didn't do what he was supposed to do, he didn't do anything basically, other than travel to the site for $305 and 1 hour of labor to look at, tell us there was nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, no, it's, I think we need to dispute that, again, like Tom, saying there, that, we need to report, I think we all agree on that. And, pretty comfortable that Pete Lapachelle from Waste Management will get back to you. Pete has been great, to work with for a long
And
time.
he was, when I called him yesterday, he was fine, he just had to chase down the technician.
All right.
Effingham Falls Cemetery. I
Ms.
guess.
Quinlan?
Huh?
Ms. Quinlan from the AG's office?
Yeah, she's not happy with me, but that's over. Tom was here when I had my conversation, he listened to my side of it. Basically, she tried to tell me that we had to take over the cemetery. I said, I can't find any law that says that. She said, oh yeah, I'll send them to you.
No way.
So she sent them to me, her laws. The only one that has a requirement shall in it is the one that is shall fund municipal cemetery.
Yeah.
We only have a single municipal cemetery here. All the other laws talk about you may take them over if you want to. That's not a requirement, you may do it, and it's not a requirement. I sent her back an email indicating that to her. And she sent me back an email and said it was been nice talking to me, basically, and she wasn't gonna push it any further.
I don't know if you were here last year when she came around with this whole thing before, and this whole cemetery business is something that's well known to the town of Effingham, certainly to me, and anybody who's been around doing this, involved for any length of time, because there are so many cemeteries. And I'm sure in those RSAs, a cemetery who's not been maintained for 20 years or more can be taken over by the town. But can be, not shall. And I'm aware of that. What I wasn't aware of was your communication with Ms. Quinlan that probably happened a little earlier in the day, because I saw that again, that she was around, and I called her. And I had a nice conversation with her, and I explained to her financially why the town wouldn't do it, and just the whole thing. And again, I stated, we're not obligated to take, she didn't push it, but I was like, we're not obligated, and there's no,
I think she already knew
she probably already knew, but it was like, there's no appetite to go around taking on cemeteries, and just, it's a bill you can never get out from under, and the town is not prepared to start taking on every cemetery or any cemetery, and certainly one that has some concerns as to what's taking place.
I did tell her in the conversation, because she said, well, they could put it in as a warrant article. I said, they can get the number of signatures. I questioned whether they could get the number of signatures in the petition. That was the first thing. I said, and then when it went to a vote, it would probably be 5 in favor and everybody else opposed. And the only 5 in favor would be the 5 trustees that are trying to get out of the job.
Get out from under the rock. Yeah, I think there's some history that can be, presented if it went to a warrant article that might shape some opinion. That's my guess.
I gotta admit, Selectman Hart didn't help me because he was giggling all the time. I was on the phone with him, and I'm trying to keep from laughing all the time.
Selectman Hart was previously a trustee of that cemetery, and would probably be one of the people swaying public opinion should that come up.
Can I just touch on that one second? What about, maybe send it to a nonprofit, maybe some nonprofit in town might pick it up, the maintenance on it? I don't know.
Yeah, anybody who wants to fill the trustee roles, or if there's a nonprofit that wants to take it over, they would have to get in touch with the trustees of the Effingham Falls Cemetery.
Yeah.
That's clearly not something for the town.
Right,
The only real connection is that we have,
The trust funds.
in 1928, we took the trust fund.
Right.
And that has, to date, I believe, $4,864.49 in it.
And that's an interesting thing, because as nonprofits take over these sites, plots, I guess, whatever you want to call them, there'll be requests for the money. And we should be documenting that very well, because if requests come in and there's a good chunk of money in there, first off, you can't go below what was established, in these, and then you don't wanna see all the money disappear from one, you know, this individual had built up a couple $1,000 and have that swept out for whatever's taking place, so the town needs to probably make sure we're protecting ourselves.
The trustees ought to be doing that.
Well, yeah, but if we delve the money out, the money is gone before the trustees would probably.
Okay.
I think they have to comply with what we sign off on. They can protest it, I'm not sure, but in any event, I think our bookkeeping should be good, better than it probably has been in this area.
The Effingham, according to the trustees of the trust fund spreadsheet, the Effingham, all cemetery trustees have control.
Oh, do they? Okay. Fine, then we're off the hook. As long as we're not obligated to make sure that there, you know, that money is maintained at whatever level. I'm just a little concerned that since we're holding the money, we might have some obligation. It is,
The last thing, and I asked Chief Yetten to come in because I'm gonna kind of load him in, hope you agree with me. Last night, yesterday afternoon, Governor Sununu, under the emergency order, indicated that all full-time law enforcement, full-time fire, full-time EMS, and it's questionable whether that's municipal or just EMS, and all part-time people are are going to be paid an additional amount of money every week. Full-time people will be paid $300 additional a week. Part-time people will be paid $150 additional. I'm gonna ask that the board agree with me to assign Chief Yetten the job to determine, because he has both full-time and part-time, to determine what the requirements are to get that money and how it's going to be spent out. I suspect the state is going to want to, and I know Chief Yetten's done a little research this morning, not all of it, but a little. I suspect the state's going to want us to build it, us to pay the additional $300 or $150, and that we would be billing them for that amount of money, and they would reimburse us. I wanna know if they're gonna reimburse us the municipal share of the retirement and the municipal share of FICA, and how we go about getting that. I also want to have the chief look at, we employ part-time police officers here that are full-time somewhere else. Do they get $300 from their regular employment and $150 from here? Or is that considered $300 is all they get because they're full-time certified? I don't know the answer to that. And it also talks about firefighters, but our firefighters are 1099 employees, they're contractors, and that's a decision that was made apparently a long time ago. Are 1099 employees covered, or are they not covered? And my suspicion is they're going to have to be municipal employees to be covered, but I don't know the answer to that.
If you're 1099, you're not actually an employee. You're a contractor. Is there something in New Hampshire law for fire department that says different?
There is for the purpose of insurance.
Okay.
Because we do that question on a fairly regular basis. We've asked the insurance carrier twice for two different issues since I've been here. And both of those, they are covered.
Okay.
So I don't know, to answer your question, I don't know if there's a specific statute that allows that, or if it's an insurance requirement rule. I don't know the answer to that. It would be one of the things I would ask the chief yet search out and find the answer to. And then also to search out what the necessary paperwork is to make this happen. I think we ought to get into it on the front side rather than waiting down the road so that we're not behind the 8 ball on trying to figure out how to pay this and get reimbursed for it. So I'd like the board to approve my having Chief Yetton do that and get the information and put it together for us, no later than probably next month.
Okay, before we jump right to that point, now, did that get forwarded to, the order get forwarded to everybody here?
No, because I didn't know about the order until, the 6 o'clock news last night. I looked this morning, and it is on the state website of the governor's, COVID-19 response.
Okay, so
I have not forwarded it to you, and there is no information to tell us how I can actually read what it says.
well, I'd just rather get it sent to me, and if the government hasn't sent it to us, I'm a little leery here. It's all good to do all our homework, absolutely.
That's part of what Chief Yetton would get when he put the package together.
Okay, in your review of what you saw, did, it specify where all the funding was coming from by any chance? or-
Coming from the federal dollars coming in under the CARES Act,
Okay,
$40 million.
and was this assigned an executive order number? I think the last one I saw was 40.
I don't know the answer to that.
All right,
The site is very nice as far as laying out. Here's the latest one on top.
Yeah.
So,
okay, me personally, I certainly don't have any problem having,
I just
a
got
chief
enough
take-
I just got so much on my plate.
no,
And
I'm in agreement with Brian. Chief, are you okay with that? Good.
Good to go, and I looked at the website this morning, I believe the agency had to complete a form, do a state rosters, things like that, to get the ball rolling. That form's not on their website yet. But I'll follow up on the FICA, the retirement, and get with them about fire departments, with a contractor as well, and I'll get something put together for you guys by next week, hopefully.
okay,
I would like
State,
I'd like it sooner than that so we can send it out to them.
as long as the state gets everything figured out, then we'll get things figured out.
okay.
Brian, was there, in that communication last night on TV, was there any kind of like an effective date? Is it as of the order that's,
Immediately,
so this
is
week,
what he said.
this week is when we start paying the extra?
Well, I don't know. Whether it's this week, next week, or the first, I don't know the answer to that. He just said it was immediate. That all first responders were going to get a stipend, weekly stipend, additional $300 if they were full-time, additional $150 if they were part-time.
Brian, does this look like what you were looking at? It's the Governor's Office for Emergency Relief and Recovery, two-sided, 2-page kind of thing.
I was posted yesterday, I don't know that they've even gotten to
Looking
post
at-
anything regarding what was, cited last night.
Look at the governor announces $40 million and then
Yeah,
goes
it says
down.
40 million. I just was wondering if this is what you saw, then we'd have a copy that all the board members could read.
I Googled governor's decision to pay police and fire additional stipend, and that's what I got.
Okay,
There's actually a website set up for it,
no,
for the whole executive order thing.
all right.
So,
But I don't think we need to make a decision here today, other than the fact that Chief Yetton's gonna do the
Right.
research.
No, even if we had to retroactively pay or whatever, so that's all fine going forward and having the chief look into it. Certainly, any questions that we have, we can provide to the chief, and you obviously, Brian, have put a number of good questions together, and certainly could supply the chief with that to follow up, so that he doesn't have to keep running back and forth. We give him as concise a list as we can. No, I just wanted to read it, just haven't read it, so,
And that's the end of
funny
my
like that.
administrator's comments.
All righty then. Well,
There is a website, it's the Gopher, www.gopher.nh.gov.
and it'll be listed right on there. Each of the executive orders are in PDF, and they're usually through a link right off that site on the homepage.
Yeah, this is probably better than even looking at the NHMA site, because it's direct from the governor's office.
absolutely. NHMA usually tries to break it down in some kind of a summary. ease of digestion. All right then, Selectman Hart.
Tom Hart here. We already touched on the waste management, so I'll keep working on that, see if we can get that. If you get it, just forward it to me if you would, or all of us. I seen the, guys out there using the coal patch, beginning of the week, yesterday or Saturday maybe. He was out there on, had, one of the guys out there doing, I know they did School Street and all that, so I don't know what other roads you guys have seen any that they've done, or. Anyway, they're out there.
Typically, when they're out, they're hitting them all.
Yeah, well, that was good to see. Still having issues on the general assistance officer. Wesley's been kind of putting in a holding pattern here because of the training. The person who was supposed to come down and train canceled at the last minute, which Wesley had plans made by her, you know, her and her family or whatever, that she had to cancel, and then the training session was canceled after. So that was kind of a raw deal for her. I mean, as far as I can.
Has that been
No, it hasn't been. Wesley's actually sent Maureen an email. She hasn't had any response from her. I'm gonna try and call today. If it doesn't work, then, you know, she wants to.
Yeah, if she's not gonna come in and train, we need,
Yeah.
first off, we're gonna need the passwords and everything
Right.
else that we don't seemingly have, and I guess, Brian, you probably know what we don't have to access things.
She has got the letter that you people signed, that she demanded to have, because I sent it to her.
Oh. So I figure I'm gonna give her another call, one last try, and see where she stands on this, you know.
Well, right now, we here don't have access to the.
We don't have a password to the computer, and we need to try to contact.
Now, Maureen continually says we have everything we need. On this end, we don't. So, I guess we need to communicate to Maureen that it's fine. Whether she helps us or not at this point, we want the information and.
Yeah, I think it just needs to be put out there as an ultimatum, either come in or don't.
Okay.
And we'll figure something else out.
That's unfortunate. Sorry for your inconvenience, Lefty.
Phone system, have we got anywhere on that?
I've talked with Consolidated, and they're in the process of having their engineers put a proposal together, and so I'm waiting.
All right.
Can we add the library in on that too?
I thought you already got that.
I sent that to Brian, I just didn't know.
Yeah, I didn't go back to Consolidated. I'm gonna let them put the plan together, and I'll say, oh, by the way, we wanna add it. I don't wanna.
Yep, muddy the water,
Process.
got it, I'm with you.
Did they have a projected time frame of when they're gonna get this proposal?
No, but he was very interested in it happening. The person I'm talking to is the sales, and he's gotta get the engineers to engineer it out, and that's what he was saying. I'll call him back and say where we are.
Yeah, please follow up, because I know that the offices are struggling
I
with the
think
line.
that yesterday, either Deanna or Wesley told me they've got a message on their phone about the call system, and they were gonna check and see if it worked.
Yeah, there was a message that says, the voicemail, which we've never gotten that, because we have answer machine. But it's gone away now, and I did send Ian, the salesperson, an email to say, do we have voicemail, how do we access it? So we send it out, if we do, but I haven't heard back.
Okay.
So we may have it, I don't know. His problem was twofold on the voicemail, if that's what they're calling. One was we're on the ancient copper system, and he wasn't sure the copper system could handle that, copper wire. And two, if it could, he wasn't sure whether they were gonna want, because our contract with them had expired a long time ago, if they want a new contract before they added it. He did say to me he would try to get them to add it without a new contract, given the fact that we're looking to go to fiber optic.
Just as a point, based on the summary you just did there, engineering usually takes several months. Hopefully here it's only several weeks. We might wanna let them know about the library, cause they're gonna have to engineer that one too.
I'll call him.
Yeah,
Cause when they send the engineer out, they'll do all sites at one
They're
shot.
not gonna send an engineer out, they're gonna do it in the office.
Okay.
They made it clear that all the process would be either by video conference or by email.
Yeah, I forget, with the way we are right now with COVID, that's true.
My concerns here are that this could take quite a while. And that's what I think we need to nail down. It's just how long this process is gonna take. Because my feeling is, even if we have, an answering machine, that doesn't help the office function, because it's just stacking them up in the queue. We still only have one phone to do business in, like the Ann's office. I don't know how the Selectmen's office is functioning with 3 people and 1 phone. But if we have to get into an agreement for 3 years for another line or 2 other lines to do business, that may be our option. I mean, I'd love to go fiber optic, and maybe we might have to bite the bullet just to function.
Well, it's not, in this case, it's not just the phones, it's also the internet. Cause it's a package. So it's one of those things, like, we can stay where we are and have the lousy internet we have in this building, and upgrade to a phone and get into a 3-year deal. I think Brian, we should wait to hear from Brian as far as what time it's gonna take to do this project.
Well, that's the thing, we may end up overlapping. I mean, it's a point of just needing what we need in the moment. Upgrading to fiber optic, fine. If you're stuck with a lousy deal, it might be just where we end up. I mean, I see Tanner over here kinda looking at me.
Yeah, I'm thinking months out for the fiber optic, but then again, on the other hand, are they gonna come and put a new line in because of the COVID? I don't know that we have many options.
The problem, and I'll have to ask them this, the problem's gonna be if they have copper available. Because they're trying to do away with copper, because it's very uneconomical for them. So they're trying to get rid of copper. They might not have copper available. I'll ask, I'll check on that.
And are they even doing that with COVID? Coming in?
I would imagine that's an essential service that would get it taken care of, I'm thinking. I don't know that. But, again, this goes to how the offices are functioning, and I don't know what's best here. I think you, the people that are working in the office, know what you're dealing with. Are you able to get to people in a timely fashion, answer questions, communicate? Because it's all going through phones, people aren't able to come to the windows. So it's how you're managing your time and able to respond. If you're managing and you're comfortable with continuing until we can get the best deal, then that's fine with me. It's your needs, the Selectmen's office and the Town Clerk Tax Collector's office that drives the decision.
It's not going to be helpful to have more than 2 lines, because you can't talk to the 3rd line if you've only got 2 employees and they're already tied up on the 2 phone lines. Okay? So, it's not gonna work to add more than 1 line, to be honest. I don't think we're having a huge problem with backup calls. I don't think we're getting people calling us saying they had tried and the line was busy. Is that right, Gwen?
In our office,
Yes.
or Deanna's office?
No, your office.
No, we haven't had it.
We haven't had
And
any.
you saying it wouldn't be helpful in my office to have another line? It would.
No, I'm saying it wouldn't be helpful to have 3.
No,
Mike talked
we only
about,
have one.
yeah, and 1 more might be helpful as long as
Right
there's 2 of you in there.
We're not talking,
2 of you in there, it's not gonna be helpful at all.
we're not trying to give her 3 lines. We're just trying to provide a line for each person working in that office, just 2 lines.
I just have a question.
Yeah,
Sure,
what happens when our phone's tied up? I go and get your phone. Right, that's what I do.
And if people are calling our
Please
office.
take our phone.
Yeah.
Then you're up.
I have a
Claudia.
question, I know there's a difference between residential and business, but and I'm not Consolidated Communications, I'm Spectrum, however, I can go onto my Spectrum account and I can choose to turn different features on for my phone service.
Yes.
I don't know if the town has an account that they can log into and do the similar things, I have no idea.
If you're Spectrum, you're fiber optic. But Spectrum doesn't have any copper.
I don't know, I don't think they do,
I don't think.
but not everybody up here is fiber.
I know that, but if you have, I know what you're saying is true if you have fiber optic. I have to be honest with you and tell you, I don't know if it's true with copper.
Right,
I
I don't know.
suspect it is not,
I would agree with you
I
on
have
that.
no idea.
but that supposition, I don't know without asking.
Okay. So hopefully next week we can have some resolution on this, and if your world is in turmoil on there, Deanna, because you don't have the adequate phone lines, you just have to let us know, and maybe we'll have to put one additional phone line in your office, if that's where we end up. I mean, but that would be for you to tell us.
And I do wanna make sure everybody understands that that's probably not gonna be helpful if it doesn't hunt down to the next line. If
Yeah, that's,
7551 is busy, it will hunt to whatever the other number is.
it won't do it with Fairpoint with that copper.
I don't think it'll do it with copper, but I don't know that for sure.
PBX operation.
Otherwise, she's gonna have to have posted two numbers, so if 7551 is busy, you hang up and you dial the other one. I don't think that's gonna work well.
Actually, if she has the number that's in there now for people to generally call, that would be great. If she had a second number that she could get onto and return calls or do the business that she typically has to do at her level, I think that would help her out, because when that line's tied up, you're talking to somebody, Wesley's talking to somebody, she puts it down, if it doesn't ring again, then you're doing your answering machine callbacks, theoretically. Giving Deanna the ability to make calls out for business on another line is kind of where I'm seeing it go, but again, Deanna would be the one though.
Brian, do you know, have we got any empty ports in the router?
I believe we do. I believe we have two.
There's one of the other alternatives we could do, because of the location of where the router is and where her office is.
Right,
Spectrum doesn't require contracts. We could do
plug it in.
a phone line with Spectrum, pay their $9.95 a month, whatever it is, without a contract, and get another number in here for her.
Can we do that yesterday or last week?
Now, the issue's gonna be this, you're not gonna get a 539 number, it's gonna be probably a Wolfboro number or something like that, because they don't have the same access to numbers like
And
Consolidated.
that's not an issue, because I'd only call out on it or give that number on the directory.
The
The office,
You'll have two separate handsets.
You'll have two separate
Yeah.
phones.
And I actually have a phone I can use.
because right now, that's her biggest problem, is being able to communicate on a second line, because you're so restricted. You don't have people at the window while somebody's on the telephone. It's all telephone for her office, so if that, Chuck, sounds like a great option.
And if
that
we
can
and
help.
buy another phone, a lot of the phones now, when you're buying the new ones, they're basically set up to go either way from a plug-in standpoint, so they can actually sell their phone to all users. So the phones aren't that expensive.
Right.
Under $50 get a phone.
Now,
Yeah, I'll just bring my phone.
are we-
Well, there's a phone right there in that kitchen.
That will work. It's a special phone for voice over internet.
is-
I just use a regular phone off my Spectrum. I plug it into the modem.
Is Spectrum going to deal with us out of Conway, or are we going to have to deal with
Conway.
Spectrum out of Portland?
Conway.
All right,
Like, if we can do it and it'll work, I'll do some homework on it today, but if we can do it, it'll work, I'll run up and pick up the
You're
unit.
willing to do the Spectrum
I'll chase
follow-up
I'll chase it.
and go ahead and do it?
Thank
Good.
you, Chuck.
That way, we're not locked into a contract, we get an extra line. Okay.
One more thing.
well, that was a good one, that last one, Mr. Hart. Please go ahead.
Was it?
Yes, it was. I think Deanna thinks it was. Light at the end of the tunnel.
On the Boston Post came, trying to find the oldest resident
Yep,
in town. Are we gonna put something on the website to have people send in names? Because not everybody's a registered voter. There's some people that have moved in with their relatives that are now residents of Effingham that we don't have a clue about, right?
You were going door to
I thought
door.
you were doing the door to
I
door.
was, but I was giving out peanut butter sandwiches with every call, and they just ran out, and I was tired. Sorry.
Slacker. Yeah, I don't know how you, this is when one of the things is how do you reach people to put in?
Let's put something on the website, maybe? I know we got a ton on there now. Just for people reading this, if you know someone in town, they can either send them to me or send them to the office, take care of me, or whatever.
Okay, and then are you gonna have a deadline date for this?
Yeah. Haven't got that far yet. I'm just throwing this out for an idea.
If somebody comes out older, you're gonna wrestle it back.
No.
Are you gonna approve?
Yeah, come up with the plan, come up with the communication, come up with the date, and I know Teresa can put a link on the website.
That's all I was looking for.
Submit your birth certificate if you're interested.
Yeah, you,
And anybody out there listening, please submit the names if you have them.
yeah, you could put that, I would say, on the website, and then maybe some of the local, chatter might spread the
Yeah.
word. While you're on that, I had a thought on that. Do we want to get the individual who did our notice boxes to, follow up producing the shadow boxes for the 2 canes that we were gonna display?
Oh, I think that'd be a good idea.
Yeah, so I think he did a great job on
Yeah.
the work he's done, so, yeah.
All right, I had mentioned it to him, so I will follow up and see if we can't get those
Do
done.
we have a list of everybody that has received the cast?
No, there was I don't know, I'm not sure on that, but there was a time period where it was just forgot about altogether. So I don't know how far back the records go, or.
Yeah, because I know we talked about a plaque, so we gotta do the little bit of homework there to find out who in the past actually had control of it and what.
Last year was, whenever the last father-in-law got it, that was the first time it was presented in years, right? Anybody?
Probably.
Let's see, it's been a long time. The last person that had it, who was it?
Father-in-law,
Your father-in-law, okay, and before that,
that's what.
it's been years. They tried to give it up to George Fuller, yeah. But he said no good comes of the person who gets that cane.
Oh, yeah, a lot of folks take it as a kiss of death. I mean, it's just,
Yeah,
it's why a lot of towns have stopped doing it.
right, aside from Tom's father, oh my gosh, I couldn't tell you how long.
Well, you know, the plaque then just gets made out to that individual, your family,
Right.
to keep it. So once this gets assigned, we'll have to, have a plaque made up.
All right, I'll get a cut-off date and all that together, and I'll bring it in next Tuesday, you guys can look it all over.
Yeah.
Yep, super.
Get it on. All right, that's it for me, guys, thanks.
Chuck?
All right, I followed up yesterday with Danley Demolition. I forgot it late last week, so I'm waiting to hear from him on 2 or 3 other names of firms we could go in and get asbestos quotes for. So I'm following up on that one on my calendar. I reached out to the CMA engineering firm in Portsmouth, notified them that they basically got to the top of the list with the RFQ process. Please get a contract in our hands within the next few days. That did go over to the chief principal of the firm at the time, because I got copied on a thank you note, and he was on that. So as soon as we get something in, I'll forward it to Brian to forward out to everybody. With the Earth Day, collection stuff, apparently somewhere down on Green Mountain Road, there's a couch and something else on the side of the road. I'll get down to the transfer station tomorrow and grab Brad, and we'll go down and get it, and I'll bring it back. And
I know what one you're talking about.
I have no clue where it is.
It was pulled out from way in.
Yeah, I was,
Is it in the, somebody said,
Someone pulled it out from in the woods,
out to
brought it
the,
out to the, they pulled it off a private
Yeah.
property and brought it out to the road for us to pick up.
I'm against this.
Yeah.
Or they
Yeah,
can't go
that's
put
right.
it back in.
I'm against this for the simple reason, it's not what this whole process is about. It's roadside pickup of trash, and we take the things you can kind of pick up by one person and bring it down that's reasonable. When it turns into going and cleaning, dump sites on private properties, dragging them up to the roadside and expecting curbside pickup of these things, I'm comfortable with that.
And I'm A-okay with that going forward, but that wasn't part of the criteria spelled out.
Always has been part of the criteria.
All right, so we're gonna leave a junky couch on the side of the road with a couple of other things, like,
It was already just,
Hold on.
I don't wanna leave it on the side of the road.
I get that. What has happened in the past is this is private property, and if you're a dump site, you've been a victim, the owner of that property is welcome to come to us, say, here's what has happened, this is here, and if we feel comfortable that that's what's taking place, we allow them to throw the stuff away for free. They transport it down to the transfer station. And that's where my comfort level is. It is a practice that's been in place for a while. I know of other locations around town that there's similar things. Last year, there was a couch on Bonneman. There's another, like, small, item out there now. These get pulled out from, you know, kind of deep into the woods or beyond what is normally the Earth Day pickup stuff. So, for me, this is a no on Earth Day. If you want to start a new policy where we start driving around town with pickup trucks collecting trash that is getting thrown out there, I think this is gonna lead to more trash being thrown out there. So, I'm just saying, you guys hash it out, but my comfort level is not here for this.
just to add to yours, Chuck, I know exactly what you're talking about, 'cause I stopped there. I couldn't lift that thing. That's a sleeper sofa. It's been in the woods for years. It just rotted, the fabric just rotted from being in the ground that deep. Also, there was, I think, 3 tires pulled that was with that. The tires were all rotted on one side, so they've been in the ground for years.
And I'm A-okay with what Mike described.
Right.
None of that was reiterated up front as part of this whole collection process. I think next year, we have an opportunity to basically say what's on the side of the road is what this is about. It's not cleaning out all the woods back 25, 50, or 100 feet from the road. I understand Mike's point. We could be pulling couches from all over town. The question I have is, and if you want to leave it on the side of the road so it looks like a dump, I'm okay with that if that's what everybody wants to do. But because somebody thought it was part of Earth Day and did the job to bring it out, I'm thinking we should deal with it.
Yeah, I see it,
In that one scenario.
I see what you're saying now, it is an eyesore in there, and.
I also know, and I'll get to you in a minute, Westy.
Okay.
I also know that a couple of young ladies and a gentleman who pulled that out, participate every year, at least the 2 ladies do. And I understand that the gentleman had said to them, basically, this is not what is supposed to happen here. But they were on a mission and they dragged it out. They weren't new to the game. There was no confusion as to how this works and what is expected. Because normally we go around and pick up blue trash bags. And as a side product, we pulled out the odd tire or, you know, item that's there. And it was something like Mr. Hart said, it wasn't something a person couldn't lift. Here again, I'm really not in favor of having town employees dragged into this process. If you want to have a volunteer go down, and this is something that really, you know, work with you or others, and you're that passionate about it, I'll go along with it, Chuck. I won't be against it, you doing that. I'm just, as a matter of course, what we are going to be doing, I think we've got to be careful here with the precedent we set. That's my, but Westy, throw it over to you.
So I took the call for the couch, not knowing the backstory that you just told. But she did call for other trash to pick up, so my thought was that she thought it was time to clean up, but I didn't know your backstory.
So there's that particular site or another site?
No, I'm just saying she had called for bags to be picked up
Oh,
different times and then called for the couch, so I thought she just thought it was part of the cleanup, that's what I was gonna say, but you know something different.
well, I have been messaged by others about that. So to Chuck's point, it is an eyesore and it's not being
Yeah,
pissed
no, I
on
know, right, everyone is.
folks. But
So then I reminded Chris, like, oh my goodness, the couch is still there. So here we are, the couch is still there.
Maybe you should advertise, if it doesn't fit in a blue bag, don't pick it up unless you have a truck and enough hands to pull it off yourself.
Well, I think maybe we talk to the Conservation Commission, Emily Albert and Company, to see what they would like to put on there, because it is their
So,
event.
yeah.
Understand?
But, I mean, I get that this is getting some public attention, and I get where Chuck is coming from, and it is an eyesore. So, I mean, as a one-time item, if this is something you like to do, then that's fine. I would like not to drag the employees into it, so we can.
You know, I just need another, my back won't take lifting it up.
Oh,
I'll give you,
come on!
Yeah, those days are gone.
I'll give you a hand check, we'll just make it a one-time thing, and, cause as I remember now, that site, we also pulled the computer screen out of there,
There were,
out of that pile, one of the big old ones.
Yeah.
The glass all broke,
yeah,
and they actually put that in a blue bag that day.
there was a lot of debris, and we can talk to Emlyn and try to establish some parameters to just,
Yeah.
how far off the road you
Going
go,
forward, yeah.
you know,
Some guidance.
like some 10-foot, 12-foot limit.
Yeah.
So the one-time deal, you wanna pick that up
Yeah.
there and be done with that, and, but no more, right?
No more, this is it.
All right,
Next year, we ask for additional guidance on
Now,
so many feet from the road.
and since your truck is fairly nice truck, I can lend you the dump truck, one of the dump trucks, if you want. If that makes it easier, I don't know.
I can use mine.
Okay.
this thing's pretty, a lot of metal sticking out on it.
That's okay, I got a rubber bed in it, and,
Oh, that ought to slide nice.
Yeah.
yeah, we'll,
I can mess that up.
How'd you get that rat back?
we'll see. All right, last Friday, I did actually watch most of the governor's presentation around the universal guidelines for all New Hampshire, employees and employers. And one of the things that he covered in item number 6 under mitigating exposure was reduce the risk to employers and employees in the workplace by supporting the use of cloth face coverings in areas where social distancing is difficult to maintain. Where possible, reduce the number of physical interactions. So now that we've decided to open up the transfer station to be able to take demo again, and money will have to be transferred from a person to a person, which is gonna put us well within that 6-foot distance parameter, I'd like us to require anybody that's going to be coming into the transfer station to deposit something where money is gonna need to be paid, must wear a face mask, or they don't get serviced.
Now, how are these guys taking money now? I mean, I thought we discussed having like one of the tables.
Yeah, when I was down there the other day,
Yeah.
there's so much wind that was there was no way to do any of that. It would've been blowing all over the place. It's gonna be a hand-to-hand off.
What about one of those litter picker-uppers? Put it under a rock on the table. There you go.
That's what I said, put it under a brick on the table,
Yeah,
but.
this is basically for the month of May was what his output was, so I know there's gonna be an additional review at the end of the month, so I'm okay basically saying, hey, until such time as the executive orders change, this is what it is. But I don't wanna put the guys in any more harm's way than anybody else.
Now, again, I think the distancing was supposed to be the
This-
issue, and that's how it was supposed to take place. The problem I'm gonna see with the mask is compliance, but I don't know. Tom, you?
I know there'll be issues.
Yeah, I see what he's saying on it, with the mask and all, it's gonna be hard, a lot of people will show up without one, I think they just go to the transfer station, well, need a mask there for, right?
Well, if anybody's going into a grocery store at this point and some of the other stuff, they've got a mask anyway. So unless somebody's living in a, not going out, period, except for the transfer station, they're probably exposed to an area where they've got to wear a mask.
Is the grocery stores requiring masks? Because I've been in,
Couple of them
watching
are.
people
Couple
walk
of
with
them
little toddlers.
Hannaford thing, yes, yeah, I've been in the parking lot, my son goes in, and I see people going in and coming out without masks.
Yeah.
I know.
Nobody.
I'm one of them.
What if you, down at the
What?
transfer station, you have the little, do you still have the white shed down there, the original shed?
Up at the-
What if you have like a slot or something, because you have, is it plexiglass or glass, but you had a slot where people could slide their money in, the attendant's on the other side and he can take it. And that way he's secure by that piece of material there that, you know.
There's nothing in that building that would allow that right now. We have to cut a hole in the building to do it.
Well,
What kind of slot, maybe in the door, like a mail slot or something?
Well,
At least they'd have the protection, something plexiglass.
if you're
but
gonna
the
have,
issue is you've only got a window this big that lights the entire inside of that building.
Right.
And it's like, there's no way you'd be effectively able to do that.
What about the red shed?
We have cut a hole in the wall,
What,
but you gotta have the visibility. Just having a slot to put something through doesn't do you any good. It's like,
it's one thing to have kind of a policy, it's another thing of how people are actually going to do their work. So you're gonna go out and you're gonna interact and see what's in the back of the truck. It's 3 tires, a TV monitor, it's X amount of money, whatever you're
So
gonna
the
do.
person that doesn't have the ability to drive up and say, here's $20, I have 2 tires.
Well, one of the things that was put forth by a concerned citizen who, contacted us was to say that people should do the math ahead of time.
Right.
The problem is, though, people aren't always that informed and won't know what the
well,
prices
they
are.
do the math based on their interpretation of
Right.
calculation, which is usually nowhere near what the cost is.
So, I'm fine with saying you need to have a mask. I just don't know how much of a headache it's gonna be to try and enforce that.
If it's a case where we can't do it, then I don't wanna take any demo until the end of the month when the governor changes what they're doing. There is no, it says right in his order, right there, face mask when you're within the social distancing requirement to protect employees.
I getcha, and I don't have a problem with trying to do it, but I also watch the news, and I see what's going on out there. Security guard just got shot, just trying to enforce
And I'm okay,
that.
then we don't do
There's people
demo,
beating each other to death on the street.
then we stop doing demo.
The governor it's great that he can say these things, but it doesn't seem to take with the populace across the country 100%. It's a nice idea, but it gets met with
Okay.
a lot of resistance.
So what we're saying is, as the employer, we wanna put our employees in a position where they can potentially get infected, and we're okay with that.
That's not what
No.
we're saying, Chuck.
We're just wondering what the guideline would be. as a
If it's,
whole.
it's either people gonna do it, or if you don't have a mask, keep right on driving.
So we'll
Or,
buy a mask,
don't do it.
and if they show up without one, then we're gonna leave it to the discretion of the attendant.
No. They don't wanna do it unless there's a mask. Because they're within the 6 feet.
We just said, don't have a problem with that, to require it. I'm a little concerned in what's gonna be, if it's gonna be enforced. Now, it's up to the attendants to send people on their way. And the fallout from that little, interaction is gonna be the next thing, but it's fine. You can,
And I'm
I don't have a
okay,
problem
if it's a
saying
case where we
you
don't,
mask.
And if they don't have a mask on, the attendant's gonna get close enough to tell them, we're not gonna accept your demo, so now you're getting a social distance. But
no, I've watched them talking to people right now at 10 to 12 feet away, and there's no problem talking to people.
all right.
Is there enough supply of masks that you could offer the residents a mask?
No, we don't.
Conduct that
There's
transaction?
a point here that people have to be responsible for themselves, or put the stuff away in your yard until you can take it or something.
So there's just no way to put any kind of little routine in place down there that they can, that the resident has to stay in the vehicle, the attendant goes around and looks to see what's in the truck, he tallies it up, he lets the person in the vehicle know, he doesn't have to get right up to the window, he can stand back, that
That's
it's gonna be,
the same issue, Gwen.
has
It's
to
like,
be-
I don't wanna stay in my car. I'm getting out of my car.
You know what I see,
It's the same issue as having the mask or not wearing a mask.
I'm with you on the mask, okay? I get that. But we've got so many, lately, we've got so many rules and regulations towards that transfer station. People forgot what the first ones were. That's what it get into. It's like, you gotta read half a book before you go to the transfer station to find out what we could do, what we can't do this week, or last week we could do this week we can't do this. I don't know, it's just getting a little confusing, but I understand what's going on, I understand, and I'm with you on the mask, Chuck. Yeah,
I'm fine with requiring a mask, and we'll just see how it actually plays out in real life down there, and see what the problems, if they arise or not. I don't have a problem.
There are gonna be people that are gonna be upset. They don't wanna do it. In which case, keep on driving.
Can it be a bandana, any kind of?
Yes, it says,
electric
it
cover?
says cloth face covering.
Covering.
It doesn't say
Right,
it has
so
to be
they
a
can
mask.
bring an old T-shirt with them and wrap it around
They
their
can wrap
head.
anything they want around their face.
Doesn't have to be, yeah.
Correct.
Hold that thought,
Just
chief.
make that clear to people, that's all.
Okay.
You hang out Saturday, Sunday, Wednesday, fine.
Since we're on the transfer
Oh,
station,
boy.
So wait a minute. So everybody's good? Yeah, face covering, don't have one, keep on trucking.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
While we're on the transfer station though, let's not lose the sight that we're gonna want permits, so the guys might need to reinforce that they can get permits. And not that everybody has to rush down today, but that's gonna be a requirement, so.
As of
Well,
July first.
we're gonna give them 30 days, but it's not like, you can get a new permit today because we have them in. So you don't have to wait until it expires, you can get one today.
And we talked about this a week ago, you get them from this office, they're not issuing them at the transfer station.
Because of the proximity issue.
And we're giving an additional 30-day leeway because of COVID pending governor's.
So that's some outreach, to consideration right there, that's all because the hammer's gonna come down.
Yep.
And so, the better messaging we get, whether we put something down at the transfer station, the website, however we can communicate that, the better, I think, because.
There's actually signage down there about the July 1st, because I created it and put it down there.
Right?
I think we should say, Mike, and I agree with you, is if you don't have a permit, you've gotta get one. The only permits that have been extended are the ones that have already been issued.
Correct. But we do want people to get their new ones in a timely fashion, and to your point from a few weeks ago, you don't wanna have this massive rush at the end of month X. If people could kind of trickle in and take care of some of that, it'd be nice. But my last thing on the transfer station, Chuck, just because you're on it, is, an observation. Pets. People letting dogs out at the transfer station. I think I have a bit of a problem with that. I'm in getting rid of a bunch of the roadside stuff with the dump truck. It's an older truck, it's a dump truck, it's not a big deal. Somebody lets a rather large dog out, and apparently this seems to be approved by the transfer station attendant. And the dog runs around, it didn't seem to be a problem for me, dogs aren't an issue for me on the most.
Shepherd?
Won't get into breeds and people.
I've seen the dogs, that's why I asked them.
So, the dog seems aggressive when it's in the vehicle, when it's out of the vehicle, not so much, but not everybody is comfortable with dogs. The next thing is the dog promptly runs around to the far side of the truck and pees on my tire, which is an old dump truck. For somebody who has a nice new vehicle, who might take some pride and attention into their wheels and, rims and all that, I think the dogs don't need to go to the transfer station and be running about or relieving themselves there. So perhaps that's a message to, Deanna?
We don't allow children running around, why would we allow dogs? Let's go to curbside and be done with the transfer.
You get the numbers marked up and come back and talk. Brian, sir.
While you're on the subject of the transfer station.
Well, I knew I'd never get out of here before noon today. Scheduled all my calls for the afternoon.
I've got chocolate.
Special place for you.
I'm not sure when COVID is going to end, or if it's going to start back up again in the fall. I think Gwen had a good idea. I think that setting up a screen in a booth to protect the transfer station operator from people coming in needing to do a cash settlement is a good idea. And I think that it ought to be something that's looked at for a long-term possibility. Because I don't think this social distancing is gonna go away very quickly. And I suspect it's going to be, when we relax stuff to Governor's 3.0, moving down from 2.0, you're gonna see an increase in cases, and it's gonna be a big panic, and we're gonna go back to COVID 1.0. And that's going to then require that you have that social distancing and a whole lot of other things. I would say that it would be best to look towards trying to prevent as much disruption. Because I can remember when I first came here, people going to the transfer station and it being just shot a fist fight fights over who could put what into a dumpster where. And I can also remember selectmen's meetings where there were people that were really upset. I think to move back to that type of a scenario, it's probably not in the best interest of the town or the citizens. So I do think Gwen had a really positive idea that we look for some place to put up a shield so that the person and the person taking money wear gloves, and that we then can have the exchange going back and forth without as much disruption as it appears like we might have. Because I do agree with Mike that there have been people that have become very frustrated and pulled out their gun and shot someone. I'd much rather put up a piece of plexiglass and not have the frustration where someone doesn't. I'm done.
Oh, well, on that, Brian, that's part of why the permitting, like you said, the past history, a year or whatever it will go, with permits, I don't wanna get away from that, so we have a repeat. But to your point, I think you're right, that a lot of companies and stuff are looking at the possibility of either this flares back up again or the next one. So it'd be nice to have a contingency plan in place should we have to deal with it. And to Gwen's point about the shack that's up at the top, that used to be there for people coming in with a permit. There was an attendance station there to say, okay, you got a valid permit. And if people pulled up there, and as Gwen said, stay in your car, maybe you can just, that person could say, I've got X. And the attendant could come out of the shack or be posted up there, look at the content, and state what that would be, and maybe take the money at that point, or because there's no way you're gonna be 6 feet apart, so the person could either hand the money through from the car, and the attendant, everybody can be dressed appropriately for that interaction, or the person could come out and the attendant could go in the shack, because I think the shack has it's a split door, if I can remember.
Yeah, it was set up to be for people, to verify dump stickers and whatnot.
But somebody was sitting in the doorway,
Yeah.
watching what's coming in.
Yeah.
That'll defeat the purpose if somebody's coming through the door. I understand what Mike's saying, if we can convince everybody to sit in their car,
I think if
that'd be
everybody
great, but.
does a little brainstorming, you guys
I
can come up
think
with
they're
some
going
kind of
to
plan.
have to do what Chuck has requested in the short term.
Yeah, we don't have a problem.
I think what you need to do, though, is you need to
Long-term.
look at a
Long-term.
long-term solution. I think people will be much more
Right.
settled if they know this is temporary and there's a long-term solution.
Because you can't give them demo and then take demo away. It's just gonna really
No, but
flare things up.
the thing with, like Jeff was stating, people get out of the car. If they're up there at that station as they enter, I think they're less apt to get out of the car for the
Right.
interaction.
Right.
Yeah.
Because they're
Right.
not now hustling to throw
Exactly.
things away.
Right,
They're remote from the disposal.
right. They haven't got there yet.
And,
Because this isn't gonna go away until there's a vaccine, and they're not anticipating a vaccine until January 2021.
yeah, well, that's the earliest.
Right, the earliest,
Um,
exactly.
So we've got, okay, so I'm thinking ahead to it, Brian, we can brainstorm this, but
Yeah.
we know we're gonna have winter coming and things are dark during part of the hours in the afternoon when that's open. There's electric up in that shack, so we have lighting.
Mhm.
Might have to do something with an outside light, but we can make that work. We got heat in there too, don't we?
Basically. Yeah.
Okay. So, okay.
We can, like you said, we'll
Yeah.
follow us down the line of time here and try to work it out.
Yeah, okay.
Please continue, sir.
No, that's it.
Really?
Yeah.
All those papers? Wow.
Well, the other one was your 17-page document. I just didn't know if you were gonna cover it, but what do you wanna do on this loan thing? I know it's a lot of stuff. So what help do you need to get this loan app together for this?
Well, yeah, that's the CWSRF grant money that we've been approved for, and that we're working with DES on, and now we're gonna be filling that out with the company that we ultimately hire, which we're gonna be in negotiations with an engineering company that was the pick of 8 companies. So, part of that is probably geared to what they're going to provide for information. I sent this to you guys, so it's a draft, and there's things in there that just need to be answered. Everybody.
What are the answers? If we can do it, we gotta wait for the engineer.
I think that, and having done this a few weeks ago, providing what I did in there, it's time for a full review.
Okay.
Because as you know, on Wednesday or whenever, Monday, whatever day that was, that we spoke with the gals from DES, I forgot about that whole thing and had to pull it out of my folder and then realized I did have it. Yeah, going back to that wasn't fresh in my mind, so it's going through that page by page to see what questions need to be answered, what's applicable to us, what isn't, and if we have questions to ask of the folks over there at DES on, does this apply to us, like a construction cost?
Yep.
This is an implementation, this is planning and design, so there's not a construction cost.
Is there like an online form, fillable form that's gotta be filled out with the stuff uploaded and attached to it? I just got this morning.
Yeah, right, that's everything that I had, to go from outside of this, some guidelines that can be grabbed off the website. As stated, I have the ones there's two sets of guidelines, and I don't have the ones for that, so just have to go to their website and grab that, and maybe that'll help us fill that out. Otherwise, it's just go through it. You know what I know, basically, which is very little at this point. Just going through that line by line, make of it as what you can, and highlight what you can't answer, or, you know.
All right, well, like, with the 2 or 3 paragraphs of the describing what it's about, is that pulled together, or is that gonna come from?
That's probably on the
CMA?
back pages, which I either put together, or it's provided. I did some stuff taken from the narratives that were already worked up.
All right.
So
I'll start creating a bit of a checklist on
Yeah.
on this document.
Yeah, I
make sure we
filled
get-
out certain things which you can review and see if you agree with, or if it needs tweaking or editing. And then there are other things, it's like an A through L checklist. I have no idea.
And we'll look at it this week and then bring it into a work session next week and go over.
Yeah, or it's a,
What's our date on this? Is this the June 30
this has to be done by, I guess, the end of
this month?
either sometime early June, I think, was the target.
All right.
So, yeah, it's unfortunately one of several priority items. Go through it, read through it, and then we can discuss what we don't understand or what we think we can fill in. So, good, some of that stuff, is off my list then. Still following up on another application that we haven't even started for the design phase of PV Brook, the failed culvert now, because long-term, that's gonna be an issue. So if we can get approved for another round of grants to do these design phases for us, that'll meet the standards that DES is gonna look for, the criterias, that'll save us money.
That watershed plan that was shipped out,
Yes, so it ought to be,
we're not in it. We're not in it by a shot.
well,
Quite a bit of a shot.
all I could see was where I wanted to see was under a legend.
I went into Google Earth and then I mapped the 2 of them over.
Uh-huh,
We're probably a mile or 2 away from the earliest edge of where that
watershed plan falls.
plan is.
All right, well, like I said, to Sally's tool, I'll do my best to tie that in as it's a tributary. It goes into that watershed plan, so, I mean, anything outside, it's everything that goes the full distance, so how they really map that, I don't know, need to find out more. Because the water that ends up in the lake is part of the watershed, i.e., that's part of the watershed, but maybe they view those things different. All right, so that's another project for us to follow up on. The mailbox, have we heard if that's coming? What's
An audit,
yeah,
and it's, gonna be freight shipped. They'll call, that we had to pay for a tailgate delivery, because nobody can lift the bloody thing.
how heavy is it?
Probably 175 pounds.
Oh,
It's just bulky, but it's heavy.
Anyway, it's coming tailgate delivery, they'll call day before delivery, and someone's gonna be here to receive it.
I would've got that sucker off tailgate delivery.
Well, I'll remember that in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never paid for tailgate or whatever.
So this is one that's designed to be bolted down.
Yeah, I
So
figured,
do we have a cement pad, or do we wanna make a cement pad, or?
well, I've already had talked to Brian about this. I figured if we can, ascertain where our location was.
Yep.
I was thinking right outside the door here, as you're leaving the building to the left, there's a gap between the railing that looked like it would be a good fit, unless people have a better idea. I don't really wanna put it at the edge of the parking lot where plowing
I would
occurs.
agree with that.
So, that was my thought, and, if we have the base dimensions, we could just, if it fits there, we can dig it out, put a couple of boards in there and just, pour in some concrete one day, come over and X number of bags of concrete I can pick up and they can take it away, but it's not gonna be easy.
And we're here just about every day, it's not like anything in there is gonna sit for a long period of time, and if you think something's coming that could come on a Saturday or Sunday, you don't wanna leave it in there, just call me. I'll come down and get it, it's not a big deal, or Tom, we're both here on the street, so I just call you and volunteer you, Tom, how's that?
Thanks, Glenn.
We've been doing that a lot. Tom was very instrumental in, roadside cleanup. He was out there driving around town probably more than anybody.
And thank you for the beautiful faucet.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, we're getting some work out of you.
When's vacation?
That was early March of this year.
Yeah, that was,
You have it again.
prior to the 14th of March, your next vacation is 3 years away.
Potentially.
Yeah, that's a good.
Brian, have we looked into it all anymore on the, video, audio equipment for here? No? Too busy.
I'll add it to my.
Keep it on your list. Keep it on the list. It'll help with messaging, should we have that, so we can tell people to wear coverings at the transfer station, you know?
Well, that's the other thing, if you guys do something down at the transfer station, you have to spend funds for, they're reimbursable through this whole FEMA thing, so,
Ooh, always thinking.
a few $100, you know,
Absolutely. It's gonna be a year for it. Use it.
yeah.
That brings us to, signs. Randy had a list of signs and poles we have a shortage of. I guess that the order,
It needs a street signs too, right?
yeah, stop
Like-
signs.
Like road names.
He didn't give a list of any road names yet, because we have quite a few in the shed that, here's another thing for anybody who doesn't have enough to do already, inventory the road signs, because they're in the shed, and go down and what we have, what we don't, you know, we'll find out what we don't have. But I believe we have a book to order from, at the prisons, because there's a couple of stop signs he's looking for, and some of the, sign holders, the mounts, the round, top of the round pole mount with the little bracket that goes out that holds street name signs.
Some out there, but, so, of both types, there's two different types too.
So we do have the book, though, to,
You are aware that the state is responsible for any stop sign
on a
and then
state.
section to a state road.
I found that out just this last year.
And also, all stop signs have to be permitted,
Yes,
even the ones that are put up on municipal roads.
I have heard that too, which I never got to follow up on, a list of permitted locations in our town, which would be a lovely thing. But,
I'll put Christine right to work on that.
there you go.
Another volunteer.
One of the heavy duty ones, reflective backing.
Well, I wanna come in and see what you have in the book, for these things, so I'll bring in my list, it's, Randy's list, really, and, go through these so we can get some things ordered up before too long. Oil collection, we were looking at, following up on that. I don't want that to fall off our list because it needs to get it done to receive those funds. We had talked about potentially some pallet, but to have our containers sit on versus the really big dollar containers, there were big dollar container options, and there's a base receptacle or overflow spill tray that still needs to be, whether that's plastic or concrete. I think it's still something we were discussing.
do you want plastic or metal? Just the ones I saw with the research I did were plastic.
Yeah, I would have thought it would be concrete or plastic, 'cause metal would tend to rust.
But everything I saw with the new ones, with the 3 different companies I looked at, were all plastic. But I can actually go in and create a quote-unquote online order to be able to have it put together in a picture
Okay?
to show us what it would look like. And I'll do that for next week.
Yeah, if you have the time, I mean, I hate to lose the momentum on that one, because we got approval.
Plastic going to meet state guidelines, federal but state.
Don't know the answer to that one.
That's the only thing I would caution you on.
Yeah, I didn't see anything with metal around at all, on anything. But I will check. Where would I find the state?
It's probably DES.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay.
Yeah, they have, on their site something for used oil or hazardous oils and whatnot.
I know several years ago they did not accept plastic, but plastic.
Well, Mike wants it as kind of like a belt and suspenders approach, because these are all double walled tanks already. And
I just don't want you to buy something.
Yep,
that-
agreed.
That's not gonna
Doesn't-
work.
Yeah, doesn't,
Plastic has come a long way, so it may be fine now, but.
well, the spill pallets are plastic, but under those, I would like to have something else, again, like Chuck says, an additional layer of safety, so if somebody goes in with a 5-gallon pail, stumbles, it doesn't go on the ground, which, that's a problem, that we would spend big money to, clean up, should that be what happens, so. That was my thought of just having something in case a barrel puncture, anything, it couldn't possibly hurt us, but we'll do what we can, and, we need to just get something done down there so we can open up. We do have some guidelines that we need to follow, so.
Do we have a grant for anything on this piece?
Yeah, $2,500 is
Okay.
reimbursed.
We get a good chunk of it covered, okay.
Right, we get reimbursed for that, and when I built that plan, it was a 3-year plan as we progressively upgrade that structure and that house.
Rounded everything else. Okay.
So theoretically, we can go back to the well 3 straight years for a total of $7,500.
Okay,
That's why I kinda like to,
keep it going.
yeah, otherwise we lose it
And
all.
it would help people in town.
Definitely, yeah. Let's see. Got my- budget, the actual, we got that. But we did discuss that the transfer station was going to move to, 23.5 hours of employee time at the transfers. In other words, your hourly, would match the time that the transfer station's actually open. Right now, I'm seeing, again, 25, hours for attendance. We were gonna establish, and I thought we had this discussion with Mark, that if it needed to be an overlap, that's what it was gonna be, or, business has to start and end between those hours. So, I think.
How are we gonna handle when they have to come in and do all the snow ahead of time? 'Cause
Well, that's a different animal.
that's like an hour and a half ahead of time?
Yeah, but that's doing things that we bring them in for. It's right now, if the transfer station's open from 8 to 4:30, say on a Saturday, that's what we should be paying our attendance for, because if somebody needed to come in 15 minutes early to open up for whatever reason, then just stagger the next person so that they would be the closing, the closeout person by 15 minutes. So you split them apart a half hour. It's just to open and close. I don't think we need 2 people to open a gate or, wait till the last car drives out.
Has that been relayed to Mark already, do you know?
Yeah, it has, and part of that is we don't wanna furlough anybody. So if we get some areas where we can cut a little bit of cost here on, employee salaries and whatnot, then the better, because otherwise, we don't know financially what's gonna happen after the next tax bill goes out, and I'd like to keep everybody in place. And, I know it's not a lot, so it doesn't hurt them too much, but it's something.
So, are the hours on the posted sign down there to 4:15 or 4:30?
It's to be in about, you're supposed to arrive by 4:15, I believe. It alludes to something to that effect, so that they can close
So we could actually close the gate at 4:15 is where I'm going with it.
That's what I put out there too, that's the other option.
Because
You open at
otherwise, you're not gonna be able to, you gotta lock up everything. And if somebody's coming in at 4:25 to unload stuff, there's no way you're out of there at 4:30.
So that was the rub. Do we wanna stagger employees, start and departure time, or do you wanna shut the door at 4:15, because, you know, people are used to what they're used to.
4:30, they're used
And
to
as
4:30.
Brian said, it's just another one of,
Yeah, it's
it's
4:30.
another,
I can't see 4:15, people won't get that.
no, it'll just incite another episode, and I, you know, the less friction these guys have to deal with down there is kind of where I'm going. So I'd like to stagger.
Yep.
Yeah. The times. It seems like the easiest way to serve the public, and I don't think it's dramatic enough that anybody's at risk. And it cuts a little bit of cost to the town right now, and this year we need to probably be looking at those things.
All right, I'll work on the written schedule.
All right,
With Mark.
okay, because the
It's
discussion
gonna take a written schedule,
that's, okay.
so, and I'll put.
When is this gonna start, do you know, any?
About a week ago.
Beautiful.
I'll talk to him about it tomorrow and Saturday. I don't know why we couldn't do it starting Saturday, if everybody's in agreement. We know what we
Yeah.
wanna do, where we wanna be. It's a matter of, okay, how do you wanna do it? Commit it to paper, that way there's no question around.
Right.
And before I leave, I need to get a key for the transfer station, because Chuck, you said they're in the, other office.
There were extras in there.
And that's probably gonna be an ongoing process, is to start checking through our stack of keys in there to find out what actually works on whatever it's supposed to be for, because there's lots of keys, too many keys in the box these days. I don't think we have that many locks in front, so, not for all those keys.
I was gonna kinda go through them, see what fits what.
I knew we would get a return on the dollar out of you. Thank you, Tom. Yeah, I think that, that's pretty much, that's that pile. I'm sorry, got some more stuff for you. I've got an email out to HEB to see where we are with the, bridge project on Elm Street, to see if that's how our contractor's sizing up for that one. I did get a, New Hampshire Intergovernmental Review Process Acknowledgement and Waiver for the USDA, grant that we applied for, so the state has signed off on that if that gets done. Let's see, we will be doing, the financial review at some point, as Chuck and Brian were talking about earlier, and everybody's got their budget versus actual, and the amount of property taxes still outstanding. I had asked Deanna, and she kindly provided, so, it is going down, it's being reduced, but it's still over $480,000 at this point, which is, excessive. I did have some questions out to.
Mike, just so I'm clear, and making it clear to people on the phone, we appropriated funds at a town meeting to be raised for the budget for the year. When you don't bring in that money, that means some projects or some things don't get done. So being behind $484,000 does have an impact on what the town is actually able to accomplish under any given year's budget.
Yeah, like, a road project or a bridge or two.
Yep.
Those would be the things.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, and, I think as we go into June, maybe we'll discuss the, notice boxes we have and utilizing them to, put out for people the tax situation on properties that are, you know, if you're behind or not, actually running that one by the town's attorney, just to make sure that that's appropriate to do. Because I have heard it said to me before, I did not know I was behind this much or that much or whatever. So,
And
I don't know.
in that same vein, I was talking to Deanna, rather than doing the 17-page printout that we had reviewed before, there's a possibility that we can use the name that's listed on the, property tax bill and the total accumulated dollars
Oh,
for
okay.
that name. which means then we would have a smaller
Sure.
list that we'd end up having to post rather than repeat something every 6 months for 3.5 years for somebody. It
Okay.
would just be a name and a total for the entire time period.
The one thing you run into there is if somebody knocks off 2017.
Yep.
Then
Periodically, we gotta update the list.
you have to update, otherwise you could have just run a line to it, but,
We gotta update the list weekly, that's not an issue.
okay. And again, I have, I've got to touch base with the attorney on a couple things at some point. When I do, that'll be a follow-up question, because it was posed to him before. I'm anticipating another, estimate for our heating system to come in. I did have one received, and I don't know, did I send that out to you guys? I hope I did,
I didn't see it.
because I think it ended up coming to me. So, all right, I'll get that out. I thought it, anyway, my bad. We do need to meet with, Randy to approve our new fire, false alarm ordinance. I don't know if, Chief, Yeton, have you got to see that yet?
Yeah, I'm still going through it, but for the most part, we just need to, as far as the police aspect goes, you can mimic the fire side of it for number of false alarms, fire, yeah, that.
Okay,
So can we create one ordinance where we say police and fire?
that was the goal, I
That's my
think.
goal, yeah.
We should be able to.
Okay, so if you have that on your list to see if you can edit or supplement this in any way for our, hopefully by next week, maybe we'll have some time to meet with yourself and Randy and do a work session or some such, and get that scheduled for, public session, public hearing. Oh, I'm sorry, Gwen?
I just had a question
Yep.
about the, posting of the tax list. Would you consider posting that simply on the town website so as to keep us from, in this building, from becoming targets? I just see that being like something that's gonna cause people to read about.
We can run that by the town's attorney, if we can post it out there. I guess we put it on the town website.
As opposed to on the building, I mean,
I don't know, we'll
we
take,
come and go from here. I don't wanna be
And
made a
again,
target.
that collector could say, this is not coming from me, this was not my idea.
no, it has nothing to do with you, the posting of any delinquent taxes that would be coming from the Board of Selectmen. Awareness is, what we're trying to get here, and if some revenues were to come in, it'd be very helpful this year, so a little enlightenment. But, we can discuss that further. We're not taking any action today, so
Right,
your concerns
yeah,
are valid.
don't wanna be, like,
That's a sad thing to have to say, but,
well, it's true, revow year, people angry, I've had to threaten people in here to have the police escort them
Yeah,
out.
not to mention COVID.
I mean, now we're in COVID, people are financially, whatever,
no,
just anything we can do to not create,
Glenn, we do appreciate what you're saying, because I know this week we're all exposed to a phone call
right,
that came in because the road was closed.
right. Do
As
it on
far as I know, this person doesn't even own property in the town,
I don't think.
and was just, it was incredibly
So that's the kind of,
tasteful.
and that's a minor thing of having an emergency road closure.
It's an example of how things can go badly, so
In Effingham,
we-
exactly, or
we
anywhere, for that matter, I guess.
we'll weigh that, absolutely.
Thank you.
Can I back you up just a little bit?
Sure, thing, Brian.
I want to, I got a copy of the Fire Department Firefighting and Fire Prevention Adopted Codes. And I don't know if I have the latest copy, because there's a whole lot of stuff in here I think we ought to discuss before we adopt it.
Okay,
Do we know whether Brian's got the latest version?
I don't know, do you have the latest version?
I don't
What
know.
Randy's
But
proposing?
nobody has a revision or a date on the bottom of it, so I don't know.
Let me compare this to what you have. It looks different.
It does. Can you,
Yes, you can take that. I'll get another one from Randy, or you can make copies and leave the copies in my box of that one.
I don't think we ever did get an electronic copy.
I don't think we did, yeah, get an electronic copy.
Thank you.
Sure. Is that it? Okay. Chuck, I'm throwing this one your way because you were following up on the asbestos stuff. I do know that Brian provided a couple of, three state bid price companies,
3 companies are on the state bid list.
but you know that.
I'd already talked to 2 of them, and they never bring it up.
Nice. Perfect.
I did not follow up with the third one that you had on that list. I went to Danley first to figure out.
Oh, yeah.
If he's got any names, and I'm sure I'll have something from him within the day.
Okay. Then I think that covers the list of items that I had to kind of jog everybody's memory. Mr. Hart?
Yeah, I was just sitting there thinking about that, you touched on that phone call that was sent in here to we all heard yesterday.
Yes.
Right, from Fan and Race.
Yeah, that was left in, on the town clerk message machine.
Exactly.
Not even the right office, but,
Exactly.
But also I want to say and ask, I know there's people out there listening, government oversight, it's streaming and all that. When you call into the office, these girls are just here trying to work, do their job, and it's for the taxpayers of the town, is who they're working for. Be respectful when you call in, please. They don't need to hear that. You know, if you wouldn't talk to your mother that way, don't talk to the girls that way, please. That's all I'm asking on that. You know, be respectful of them. That's all. How's Tom Hart?
you know, Tom, there's another thing to that too. I appreciate what you just said, but also, quite frankly, if you want people in this facility in positions of authority, the police, the fire chiefs, the board of selectmen, to take you seriously, that's not gonna do it. You went on another list right away. If you wanna have a productive discussion, we're open to it. Just calling up and swearing and screaming at people is really not gonna make your.
Not gonna be tolerated. It isn't.
So, I agree. Is there anything else? Anybody from the staff here have anything other, any old?
I'll get the email that I forwarded you about the Zoom meeting for emergency election support. They're having one at 2 o'clock, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I will be on those. So don't feel that you guys have to.
Oh, thank you.
I appreciate that. Thanks, Shanna.
We volunteered, so
Yeah.
I was waiting for that. You gotta be on the call. I think, okay.
yeah, I'll do it.
I can't even plan tomorrow these days. Every day is.
Okay.
Did-
I know, right?
Okay, Deanna has a few things here. Yeah, I was getting to that too.
So the DT 8 forms are out, which is low and moderate income homeowners property tax relief. They do have to be in by June 30th. They come from Department of Revenue. We supply them to the property owners. So they're there. I put it on Facebook.
Could you say that one more time?
Low and moderate income homeowners property tax relief. Deadline is June 30th. If
Deadline.
anybody needs a copy, they can just call or email us. And also, I just want you all to be aware, for the record, on Thursday, March 19th, I got an email from Title Bureau saying that we could process title applications without the signatures. We were to send them directly to Title Bureau. Title Bureau would then send a letter to the customer requesting them to sign. They asked us not to send the documents to the customers because we risk losing key documents. So I received an email today that they are suspending every application that comes in for a signature. They want us now to reach out to these customers and direct them on how to proceed to get these things signed. So on March 19th, they said they didn't need signatures. Now they are all suspended, which means when they come in to renew their vehicle, if they haven't taken care of what they should have, I will not be able to renew their vehicle.
That's why I'm leery on taking any of these. You can adjust things and do it out of the normal, and I don't like changing because then there's always cleanup, it seems.
Well, this was
Too
having
often.
the customer sign it.
Right.
Yeah.
How is that gonna work out? So now somebody who has already applied for a title,
Right, new vehicle.
new vehicles, and sent it in without a signature, is now have to sign it.
Exactly, I will be contacting them,
Oh, you, okay.
having the conversation, just more work now that they've created.
Job security for you.
Good point.
Uh,
I need it.
So, did anybody else have anything before we move to old business? Everybody's looking quiet here. And Chuck, I guess, is this both of these on, for you, or are they already covered in your mind?
The old business ones?
Yes.
The L-chip grant and the Chris Williams contract, you said to put those off, but you didn't say.
Oh, I got,
We didn't capture how long we were supposed to put them off for.
all right, yeah, the L-chip grant application, the round opened up May 1. We've already started working on it. We've got a meeting with 3 people working on the writing of that tomorrow. And that'll be done. We have to submit it by mid-June. The good news is because of COVID, they have changed a lot of the guidelines, and we don't have to create 6 different books up at the print shop and do all kinds of stuff on CDs and USB drives. Everything's gonna be electronic. They've actually shortened the application, so it's actually gonna be a little easier to prep the whole thing. That's already in play. And the contract that we signed with Chris Williams, I forwarded over to him, the other day because I actually have some questions that I need to ask him regarding the town hall, so I've already forwarded that.
So, should I take this off old business until you tell me to put it back in the new business?
Yeah, you won't need to put it back on. Be all set. Thank you.
Alrighty then. Given that I don't see anybody else, looking to make any comments, I guess I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
I'm not making it, I was entertaining one.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Wow, bunch of quitters. Okay. All in favor, say aye.
All right.
Aye.
And Hal and I. Thank you, everyone. We can now pull the plug.
Oh, that's fun.
I'm thinking I'll pass on that. I think I'm gonna do a